Okay, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Sacramento Area Sewer District for Wednesday, March 26, 2025. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll and establish a quorum?
Good morning. Director Desmond?
Here.
Hume?
Here.
Kaplan?
Here.
Kennedy?
Here.
Rathel?
Here.
Rodriguez?
Here.
Sander?
Here.
Soon?
Here.
Villegas?
Here.
And Cerna.
Here.
And you do have a quorum.
Great. Will you please rise and join Director Kaplan in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, will you please read our statement?
This meeting of the Sacramento Area Sewer District is cablecast live on the Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Sunday, March 30th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed on demand at youtube.com/MetroCable14. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County Supervisors and City of Sacramento Council members is paid to the county and city respectively to partially offset the costs of those governments. Compensation for other board members is delivered to the individuals. To make an in-person public comment, please complete a speaker request form and hand it to the clerk. The chairperson will call your name. When it is your turn to make a comment, you may send written comments by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record, and that concludes the clerk's statement.
Okay, very good. We are going to now adjourn to closed session, and we'll be back shortly. I'd like to call back to order this meeting of the Sacramento Area Sewer District for Wednesday, March 26, 2025. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll and reestablish a quorum?
Director Desmond?
Here.
Dickinson?
Here.
Hume?
Here.
Kaplan?
Here.
Kennedy?
Here.
Rathel?
Here.
Robles?
Present.
Sander?
Here.
Rodriguez?
Here.
Cerna?
Here.
Thune?
Here.
And Director Villegas, I believe, left after closed session. So Villegas and Carpinzi-Costa are absent. You do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Next item, please.
For your consent matters, items 1 through 7.
Okay. Any member of the board wish to pull an item for separate consideration or questions or comments on any items? Okay.
I'll go ahead and move consent items 1 through 7.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone sign up from the public?
I did not receive any speaker request forms. We
All
do
right.
not have anyone here.
All right, are we going to?
I think we'll have to take a voice vote.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is public comments from on issues not on the posted agenda, and I do not have any speaker request forms.
All right, very good.
Item number 9 is the miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
All right, Mr. Dobson.
Good morning, Chair and board members. Just a few items. First of all, our next meeting, we do not have any agenda items, so our next meeting will be on April 23rd. So we're trying to keep, as much as possible, trying to keep to one meeting a month, and so we're able to do that this time. The other thing I want to note is Alma gave some of you, many of you, a little packet or handout with some requested information. It's personally identifying information, so we keep it very secure, but we absolutely need to have that information. It's for two things. One is it's to be able to process pay if you're a board member that receives pay from for the board meeting, but also our application to the state for our state disability insurance. We got a bit of a reprieve when we approached them and found out that we have the entire quarter in order to get our application in, and will be covered retroactively to the beginning of the quarter. But we are now at the end of the quarter, and essentially this application, I don't fully understand why they need this information, but they need our board members and their the information that's requested in these forms, and we got to have it. So if you could fill that out, Sunny or myself can take it from you after the meeting, but we really need to get that. We're going to submit whatever we get, but we need as much of it as we can get. Last item on the board agenda, I just wanted to note it's just an informational item, but our State of the District report is now available. This is the first time we've tried a completely digital electronic version. So we're going to see how this works. It's not even, it's basically a website. So it's not even just a document that you click on a Adobe Acrobat file and open up a report. It's actually a website that goes through basically covering our achievements over the past year and a little bit of a look to the future. So take a look at that and provide any feedback that you have on it. We'll take that into account and see where we go from next year. But at least we're trying to reduce the printing costs and that sort of thing. So, and with that, I have one introduction this time. I wanted to introduce, many of you know her, or at least communicate with her, and it's Sunny Kenner. There she is. Going to walk through her bio. She has an Associate of Arts degree from Cosumnes River College and a paralegal certificate from UC Davis. She's worked for Sac Sewer for over 10 years, starting as secretary for Rosemary Clark back in 2014. And then she became the executive secretary for Prabhakar Somavarapu, if you knew him, back in 2015. And now she essentially does the same job, but we have a new title for her. It's now the administrative assistant to the GM. So she works very closely with myself. She also works very closely with your board and your staff, and also our entire executive team. She also has 4 staff herself who further support our executive team and then staff throughout the district. She wanted to point out that she really enjoys working with all of your staff, very responsive and very helpful. I want to point out a couple things she didn't put on her bio. One, that she expertly manages my calendar, which is a crazy, insane thing. I don't know how she does it. And also the entire board process. So all the packets, the materials that you get from the beginning when it's just basically a draft board letter from a project manager, all the way through the approval process, the signature and copying process, the electronic files that get posted for the public, the agenda, all of that comes together, and she's orchestrating that. So she's the conductor of that symphony. And then finally, with a name like Sunny, it's no surprise that 2 of her strengths are harmony and positivity. So I just wanted to point that out. And then finally, she did have one more note, and that is that she really loves working with Alma. So, and we all do. So, Sunny Kenner.
That concludes your report.
All done.
Thank you, Christoph. Director Hume.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, it's nice to put a face to a name. I've seen your name in my inbox for years, so good to know there's an actual person at the other end. My question is, Alma, you gave me the Form 700 form. I have a Form 700 on file with the district, and we're also in the process of updating all those. Do you need this specifically from me? Okay.
Then I have a question. How come I did not get one?
Sunny, can you come up to the microphone, please? Sorry, we can't hear you back there.
How come I didn't get one? I didn't get one either.
So you definitely, if you have done it for your own organization, city council or board of supervisors.
That's why after Director Hume said what he did, that I'm suspect about duplicating efforts here. So are we sure that we're not doing that?
Another point of clarity, because I got emails saying I didn't turn it in from the county, but I filed it with FPPC, so.
So there would be separate items for the county and for the Sac Sewer Board.
Understood, but yeah, but as a matter of practice, at least for my supervisorial office, for the entirety of the time I've been on the Board of Supervisors, my staff, and I presume other staffs for other supervisors, take the totality of all the Form 700s for all the other boards and commissions we serve on and prepare them and file them. So I just want to make sure that because I'm not getting one here, it just means that there's some deference to that process. And so when Director Hume said what he did, I'm just wondering if something got missed.
So we will go back and confirm
Okay.
for sure. But it should be that if you didn't get one, it's because you have already done it through a different process, but we'll confirm.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And the same for me as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions for our Executive Director? Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone sign up to speak on this matter?
No, sir, we do not.
All right.
One simple question.
Yes, please.
To clarify, some agencies require the state level submission that Darren referred to. Some take the county version. Some take a copy of your local agency version, like a photocopy or a PDF. Others require a wet signature. So there's 4 options for requirements to submit these, depending on, and it varies by agency all over the place. Which one are we?
You forgot rights to your firstborn.
Oh.
Right?
What, do we require a direct personal wet signature or a PDF copy of the city filing? Okay.
That was, Sonny, you said no, right? I'll let you say.
Thank you. A PDF is fine. Electronic
Okay.
version sent to me via email is fine.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Karen, please.
Sonny, for simpler, are you able to work directly with our clerks, our city clerks?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Are you able to work directly with our
Yes,
city clerks?
Yes, I have
Okay.
been, and I've been reaching out with them, and I can get these from them directly as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then because what I was referring to earlier is, so I got 4 emails from the county Form 700. Right? It's like your fourth warning, and I'm like, I turned this in 3 months ago.
Some are able to submit it electronically, but for our filing system, I still have to receive a PDF version so I can upload it into our electronic filing system.
Which is totally fine. It's just that I'm receiving these emails saying I didn't, and then I'm glad to see it because the check mark here says it's done for me, which is great. So that it sounds like you're communicating with my.
Yes.
But then the emails I'm getting cause me anxiety because I want to make sure
Okay.
everything's getting turned in. So I don't know who to respond to
Yeah,
here
I'm not
on
sure
these
either,
emails.
because I don't think you'll be getting automated emails from our Form 700 system because you're not in the program. I'll have to check with the county or whoever to see where you're getting those from.
I can forward you one of them.
Okay, perfect. That'd be perfect.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other
Thanks.
questions for Sunny before she sits down for the 5th time? All right, okay.
It's a very well-organized statewide system.
Right.
That's off the record.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, next item, please.
Item number 10 is to approve employees groups 6 and 9 benefits and one-time wellness benefit payout.
Morning, Chair, board members. Item 10 is requesting your board's approval to revise our employee group benefits and a one-time wellness benefit payout. Your board approved the 6 employee groups back in November 2023. We are recommending revising employee group 6, which is currently executive, and adding additional confidential and unrepresented classes, therefore changing that class. The second recommended action is to approve a one-time payment to approximately 140 employees who qualified for 8 hours of wellness leave incentive during the last 13-week period while we were still with the county. Sac Sewer did not carry over the county's wellness incentive program. We're currently developing and analyzing. We're going to implement our own shortly. Sac Sewer is recommending providing a cash payment equivalent to that of the wellness leave incentive for those who qualified so they're made whole in regards to the benefits that they earned. Any questions?
That concludes your report?
Yes.
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Anyone from the public signed up to speak on this matter?
I do not have any speaker slips.
Move approval.
Okay, it's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thanks. Next item, please.
Next, item 11 is the salary schedule amendment.
All right, Matt Doyle still. We have item 11 is approve the resolution adopting the amended salary schedule for maintenance and operation managers class. We are including a 2.5% increase to maintain a 10% spread between the supervisor and the subordinate. The GIS Analyst 3 class has been retitled to GIS Supervisor. Therefore, a 5% increase is recommended to the salary range. The second action we are requesting is to authorize the district engineer to make administrative changes to the salary schedule, such as class, employee group, or class reassignment. This would include changes that do not directly impact compensation.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone from the public side?
We do not have any. We do not. Excuse me. We do not have any speaker request forms.
Very good. I'd entertain a motion.
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 12 is the Harvest Water Program quarterly report for October 1st through December 31st, 2024.
Right. I believe we have a presentation.
Good morning, Chair
morning.
Cerna, members of the board. My name is Mike Crooks. I'm the manager of the Harvest Water Capital Program, meaning we're in charge of the design and construction elements of the program. This morning, myself and Joe Phil give a brief update to supplement the quarterly report that you received with this item. It covers the fourth quarter of 2024, but the presentation will include some information that's a little bit more recent, especially with respect to construction activities in progress. Capital program updates, we'll touch on that, some program financials, administrative program updates will be provided by Joe Phil, and then we'll touch briefly on upcoming board actions. Construction project updates, just real briefly, kind of touch on each of the construction projects that are active. Harvest Water Pump Station, they are making progress. It's been going a little bit slow. In general, the rains that have come since December have really hampered progress on pretty much everything. Rains come, slows things down. It gets sunny. They start to get going again, and then it rains. And so it's been kind of tough with that herky-jerky motion. But the pump station, they expect to start serious construction with mass excavation probably next month. Oak Grove Transmission Pipeline, this is broken up into two segments. The one that's currently under construction is segment 2, going down Franklin Boulevard. The contractor has completed pipeline installation on what we call phase 1. That's between Sims and Laguna Boulevard on the north end. They've also shifted traffic in the phase 2 area, which is south of Laguna, and getting ready to start construction on that part of the project. They've also had some tunneling activities going concurrently. Most recently, they tunneled at the very south end of their pipeline alignment. They had to cross under Franklin Creek. That tunnel's been completed and the pipe's been pushed through it. From that point, they turn to the west and they tunnel again under the Union Pacific Railroad tracks, and so that's set to happen fairly soon. Segment 1 is the segment that's on the plant property itself. It's roughly a mile of pipe. Your board approved bid award in February of 2026. We're working towards notice to proceed in April, and we expect that to start construction this summer sometime. Same contractor got that contract, which is, I think, a benefit to some degree. South of the city, we have 3 pipeline projects that are active in South County. Each of them are working in various areas. Each of them have a couple different headings. So I think a lot of you know that they're very busy down there. It does create some difficulties with respect to road closures and detours. Again, weather has been a challenge and has slowed our ability to open up some of the closed areas. So we continue to work with that. Plus, again, as many of you know, the roads down there they're small. Don't think they were really built to handle the amount of traffic that we're putting on them, including the construction traffic that they're seeing right now. And so we're very busy in responding to those roads unraveling and so doing repairs as we're doing the pipeline construction. Let's see, on-farm connections, that project that's going to construct the improvements on the grower's property to control delivery of water to their irrigation systems. This is going to be implemented, we believe, in 2 phases. The first phase contract is currently out to bid. We expect to receive bids next month and will be under construction this summer later on. This graphic represents the total length of pipe that this program will install versus what's been installed already. This graph represents the end of February. So as you can see, we have a total of 41.4 miles of pipe to install with the program. As of the end of February, we've installed 18.3. So we're very closely approaching 50%, hoping that we'd be there by now. But again, I think the weather impacts have kept us from reaching that point, that milestone, but I think we'll get there pretty soon. This graphic represents the pipelines that have been installed. The lines that have the green bold around them represent pipelines that have been installed, again, as of the end of February. Not a lot has changed since then. There have been some changes, but this, I think, represents a pretty good picture of what we've been able to accomplish so far. I mentioned the on-farm connection assemblies project. Again, phase 1 is out to bid. It contains 56 connections out of roughly 120. We've targeted the larger of the connections that we'll be serving so that we can maximize how much water we can send when we're working to start up and commission the system. So these 56 connections represent roughly 66% of our irrigation demand. Again, it's currently being advertised, notice to proceed later this summer, and complete in early 2027, kind of in lockstep with the pumping station project. Phase 2, we do think that we'll be ready to advertise that project later this year, probably in the fall, but a little bit too early to tell. Outreach, a really significant effort. In addition to managing the construction projects, our outreach staff have been fantastic in getting updated information out to the people that are affected by these projects. We have a lot of mailed notifications that go out. We've put up business signages so that people know these businesses are still open, just maybe a little bit more difficult to access. We've had focused outreach efforts. Community meeting occurred, I believe, in December with Valley High Homeowners Association group. And our group actually does door-to-door contact with residents who are going to be close by very disruptive activities. For example, if we have anything that's happening during nighttime, and we have had that happen. Also, we've had a lot of media coverage. Most recently, when we did the traffic shift south of Laguna Boulevard, we had some good media coverage, and it came across, I think, in a positive light. Happy to see that. We regularly put out traffic alerts related to the closures and the openings and the detours. We do have an active construction closure map on our website in addition to mailing it out. We've had a lot of interactions via our hotline and our email, and we cover that on a regular basis. We get back to people within a business day, if not sooner. Again, the issues have been road damage, traffic impacts, and just regular frustration, and totally understandable. We do our best to respond as quickly as we can. When we can, we do pivot with respect to our construction activities. We on occasion have had our contractors change their sequence of events to, again, respond to those concerns, and I think it has been positively received and recognized. But no doubt it's still a disruptive project, and we're doing the best we can to keep people happy while keeping things moving forward. I've got a few construction photos included. Again, I mentioned nighttime work. I believe this is in front, Bighorn. We did that during the night. It's a busy intersection. Again, coordination with the city of Elk Grove. Very tricky installation. We have to dip duck around a lot of existing utilities, so you see that here, in addition to working at night. This is that tunnel at the very south end of the Elk Grove transmission pipeline, the tunnel underneath Franklin Creek. Again, that's been completed. Now they are turning to the left or to the west to go underneath the tracks, which you can see in the top left-hand corner of the project or photo. More Elk Grove transmission pipeline, open cut construction. This is still when we were working north of Laguna Boulevard. Franklin Eschinger, this is right outside the city of Elk Grove. They finished their stretch of pipe down Franklin, and now they're heading east. This is on Core Road, going under the tracks. They're almost done with Core Road, making their way to Eschinger on this west side. They also have a heading on the east side, working from basically Highway 99, coming towards Bruceville, which is also almost done. This is the West Pipelines package, working on Franklin Boulevard. This project has been challenged with wet weather, wet soil conditions. They've been in Franklin longer than anybody had hoped, and so we're working with them to get them done and to get that opened up again. More of the same. They've got culverts that they have to deal with, a lot of other challenging construction issues. Central South, this is in the central part and south part of the service area. This particular pipeline is on Bruceville Road, south of Lambert, kind of by the RCCC facility. So we have 36-inch steel pipe going in there. That stretch is done. And as of today, that segment of Bruceville should be open. Let's see, I think this is just a typical sign that the residents out there are getting used to seeing. A lot of closures, a lot of routing of traffic in other areas. Program financials, just real briefly, this graph represents on the left, where the colors are bold, our actual expenditures that we've experienced. The more muted colors to the right are projected future expenditures based on our budget. And then the black line is a cumulative total going to our current budget amount of just under $600 million.
Excuse me, before
Yes.
you leave the slide, if you can go back, please. Thank you. So from 2027 on, what constitutes, it's small, but what constitutes the soft costs that are continuing all the way past 2031?
Those costs are all related to what I would refer to as the eco plan component of the Harvest Water Program. It's to go on for multiple years. And perhaps Joe Phil can touch on that a little bit more in a detailed manner than I can. But it is
what does that mean?
A long-term.
Why don't you come to the podium?
Good morning, Board and Supervisor Surnam. So the eco plan is what I'd like to say is what actually pays for the whole program. It is we signed a contract agreement vetted both by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the California Water Commission as part of our WSIP Prop 1 grants. And so the eco plan is that we are mandated to bring forth ecological benefits that includes raising the water table at the area, added crane population, improved Chinook salmon runs, lower salinity, and vernal pools improvement in the area. And so part of that cost ongoing would be the eco plan maintenance of those parcels.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like that's really operational.
Right. Yeah, that's correct.
All right, so there's a bit of operational in your capital budget here. Okay, that's what's a little odd. So thanks for the clarity.
Yeah, let us check back on that and make sure, because I know there's some components of that eco plan that are related to purchasing properties. There are a number of things. These are not the capital construction separate items, and so let us just check back, and if there's anything different that we didn't say, we'll get that to you.
Yeah, it is not related to the operation of the system itself that'll be delivering water. It's more land management practices, working with the growers and the property owners out there on a long, perpetual basis. My understanding is the grant program understands and identifies these as capital costs. that are reimbursable through the grant, but it is a little bit different. They are soft costs, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Simple graphic. The pie on the left represents our total program budget, including the administrative program management office as well as the CPMO. Again, just under $600 million. And based on that budget, we've spent to date almost a quarter of it. With respect to construction dollars only, we've got a budgeted amount of just shy of $380 million, and we've spent just under 22% of that. I wanted to note that I talked about being almost 50% done with the pipelines. 22% seems like a low number. We have other elements of the project that haven't really gotten as far. The pumping station, for example, and the on-farm connection assembly contracts, those haven't experienced really any expenditures, and so they kind of lower that percentage. This is a snapshot that you guys have seen before of our program budget and our funding. I'm sorry, Joe Phil, I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder, but I'll let you speak to it. The text that's in red is a new item, and it's a new component of our grant from the state of California, an additional $73 million. So the key point here is our funding gap is shrinking. So good news. And I'm going to leave it up, and you can speak to it some more, because I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Crooks. Good morning again, Chair and members of the board. Joe Borja. I'm with the APMO office. So I'd like to give a little bit of update about our WSIP grant reimbursement and future funding. And so we've had the opportunity to receive both invoices number 1 and number 2, approximately $23.9 million. Our invoice number 3 has also been approved for payment for $15.7 million, and invoice number 4 is expected to be submitted near term for approximately $84 million. The Harvest Water team successfully secured additional WSIP funds as a result of Los Vaqueros expansion withdrawing from the program that left $454 million on the table, as well as the addition of Prop 4's new funds that were voted on by the voters last November, anticipated to be allocated specific for existing WSIP projects, adjustment for inflation. On March 19th, the CWC, or the California Water Commission, did vote to increase Harvest Water funding by $73 million, highlighting the need for projects that have already received investments to keep going and moving forward. We were the only one of 6 projects that were selected by the Water Commission to receive this funding. The rest of them, unfortunately, the funding was withheld for other thresholds to be met by the Water Commission. And so what we're doing is continued advocacy both in the state and federal levels. Like I mentioned before, we had a well-received Harvest Water update back in February 19th. We worked with our WSIP coalitions to advocate for a fair share allocation of our available funds. And at that time, the Water Commission have also requested a summer project tour that we have now locked in for a date on June 18th, where water commissioners as well as state agency leadership are expected to attend as part of an open public meeting, the Harvest Water project area. We continue to work with our state legislators to meet and advocate about the SAC sewers and Harvest Water's benefits, and advocacy letters have also been submitted for both budget subcommittees on Sub 2 and Sub 4. We also engage and continue speaking and having dialogue with our federal partners and in Congress to make sure that we protect our federal grants, but also to ensure that we are able to navigate the ever-shifting administration's policies. Now, outreach, partnerships, and engagement. Like we said before, the heart of this is really establishing that community and that partnership with the growers and the farmers. And so we continue to have one-on-one meetings with our key stakeholders to address specific concerns, as well as invite them to our Phase 2 OFCAs. We continue to have groundwater level monitoring existing private wells and developing our recycled water program documents and tools. Our eco-plan development, our draft agreements have been ready for crane pilot projects for roosting and foraging, 2 additional draft agreements are being reviewed by landowners that involves vernal complexes and additional crane pilots, and a procurement package for native plant procurement is nearing completion. This map shows you the 52 OFCAs with signed recycled water service agreements that we've had as of March 13, 2025. And one thing I'd like to point out is that when we started this project, the amount of letters of interest or commitment letters that we've received is oversubscribed with the program or the goals that we would need to meet for summertime irrigation demand. But having said that, we were able to get agreements for users that represent 63% of summer irrigation demand goal that you see there on the green parcels. A majority of these are larger users, folks that consume that would be using the most water during summertime, but also small farmers. And again, I can't help but emphasize the amount of coordination, meeting, and engagement that our team has done in really not just selling this product, or at least telling the community members there the importance of this project, but also ensuring that we address their concerns. And there's been a number of different feedback and comments that we've received. We do continue significant efforts in executing right-of-way service agreements in 2025, as well as recycled water service agreements, and we're working to secure the remaining agreements through Q2 and Q3 of this year.
Joe, Phil?
Yes, sir.
Real quick. The question for Christoph. So as it relates to the service agreements, can you remind us what, if anything, is in those agreements that speaks specifically to the quality level of the water that would be delivered, not dropping below some, scientifically quantifiable, qualifiable metric?
I'll check with Joe Phil to make sure I have this right, but the water has to meet the state's Title 22 tertiary treated recycled water requirements. So they're very specific constituent-based limits in there. Okay. I don't believe that the agreements get beyond that.
And is that silent on? So that's just reflective of the nature, the quality of the water as it would be delivered. Is there anything specific about what might change in terms of what Sac Sewer would receive in terms of the pre-treated water? There may be, for instance, a different user within the Sac Sewer area that wishes to, change the quality of what they're basically delivering to our plant. With our knowledge about it. Could be an industrial user, for instance. So I would assume then there's nothing in those agreements that speaks to that.
That's correct. So our water quality still needs to meet those standards. So regardless of, and typically what would happen in a case like that, you have, say, a new industrial customer, they want to make some discharges that have different constituents in them. That's something that we would regulate on the front end so that it didn't get into the system, because we, again, have to continue to meet the requirements regardless of what's being discharged.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's how we'd address that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Christoph. And then finally, in my next slide, just upcoming board actions. We'll be bringing forward our EcoPlan landowner agreement templates, customer reimbursement framework for our on-farm improvements for the use of recycled water. We are also going to the APMO. We'll be bringing in the consultant agreement amendment. And just as of this morning, we no longer anticipate the fourth bullet. So the CPMO will no longer bring consultant amendments for services during construction, but there would be a request to increase board-approved change order allowances for construction contracts. And one more thing to add is that we do anticipate the bid award for OFCA Phase 1 expected in the month of May. And with that concludes our presentation. I'd like to invite Mr. Crooks back in the podium, and we're happy to answer any questions or hear any of your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for our staff?
Good job.
Thank you.
On the 63%. Keep it
Yeah.
up.
Appreciate the information. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed to speak on this matter?
No, I do not have any speaker request forms.
All right, very good. Next item, please.
Your next item is the communications received and filed, items 13 and 14.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. If there's no further business, we are adjourned.